Hey, Kingdom Dream Chasers. It's Gail back with you for another episode. Today, we're really talking about capacity, but we're going to talk about it from a really unique perspective. If there's anything that has been probably more difficult, but yet giving me the greatest breakthrough, it's understanding that even though I was really ready for growth, excited to help more women transform, my business wasn't. So there was a capacity issue, and I kept confusing my personal capacity with my business's capacity. So if you don't hear anything else today, please grab a hold of the difference. There's a big difference between you personally and the capacity that you carry, your energy, your creativity, the way you love on and pray for your clients and help them transform, and the way your business operates and the capacity for more leads, more growth. Okay. So the faster you identify the difference and start seeing how the capacity of your business is affecting your growth, you will start making some very powerful changes in your business, and your revenue and your impact is going to change. So, have you ever noticed that you kind of feel constantly busy, but somehow still feel behind? Wow, that's a big emotional letdown. When you can look at your life and feel like day to day, you're busy, you're doing active things, you're at your desk, you're at social media, you're doing follow-up, you're working on this or working on that. But there's a part of you that's when you fall in bed at night, you somehow are feeling behind. You know God has called you to bigger impact. You know because He wants to work through you, and you know His nature is abundance, His nature is multiplication. So what's going on? Where is the resistance that's being created either by you or by your business that's not allowing that multiplication to happen? Um, One thing I want you to see with me for a moment is many Christian businesswomen, when they really boil it down, when we have really meaningful conversations, they feel like they're drowning in the little tasks. And this is a really real conversation because the little tasks eat up so much of your time. This is kind of an tangent, but it's a really important one. Do you know that analogy about the jar with the pebbles and the sand and the rocks? Well, if you don't, some of you are like, yeah, but tell it to me again because I forget. That's what I do. So, all right, here's the deal. So you've got this big jar, and then you've got to fill it. And you have sand and you have pebbles and you have rocks. Well, if you start with the sand and then go to the pebbles and then go to the rocks, you won't have enough space. But if you start with the rocks and then the pebbles go in, then you can pour the sand in and it will all fit. Whoa. How can three things fit one way but not fit the other way? Well, this is the analogy for our businesses because the rocks represent, and you probably are like, yeah, yeah, we know. The rocks represent the most important things, the most important tasks that you can do on a daily basis. The pebbles are like, if you use the Benjamin Franklin's Franklin Covey method, the rocks would represent an A task. That means it is the most important. B is like, all right, it's important, but it's not the most important. C tasks are the sand. C tasks are like, yeah, it could get done next week and or it could get done in a month and the sky wouldn't fall. Okay. Um, so when you are in your business and you're always working on the sand tasks, okay, because you're like, well, somebody's got to do it. I've got to do it. It makes your uh, business feel heavy and hard often. So here's my challenge for you today. Maybe the next thing your business needs isn't another course, another retreat, another thing to promote. What it needs is another set of hands. So I'm challenging you guys in this episode. We're going to walk through what does it look like to hire a VA? What does it look like to bless someone overseas who can work at a much lower rate than a US based person could work? But what? how do you bring them into your business in a way that is manageable for you and doesn't make you feel like you're going backwards in order to bring someone else on? So, we're going to talk about these real obstacles and these real benefits. Now, many kingdom business women don't get stuck because they don't have the knowledge. They're stuck ultimately because they're trying to do everything themselves. So that means that you can be the very bottleneck to the growth. Because if you're trying to do everything, but you want more leads, you want more growth, that's not sustainable. You won't be able to carry it all. So, one of the options, and there are a number of them, but one of the options is that other set of hands. So, what happens when content stops getting posted consistently? Because you either get sick or you go on vacation or you get burnt out. What happens when the new lead that came into your space suddenly got lost, didn't get followed up with, actually wanted to work with you, but there was no nurturing, no trust building? When those things happen, we are the very bottleneck in our business. So, um, here's a point of wisdom. A point of wisdom is you should not, I should not be doing a task that someone else could be doing for $10 an hour. Because if for $10 an hour, someone in the Philippines, that is a living wage, that is a wage that blesses them and their family. Um, and you're trying to do that task yourself when really if you look at your program, your coaching program, and if you sold or your products, whatever, if you sold a number of things and you spent your money working on that, your time, you spent your time working on that, you probably average out what, $50 an hour, $100 an hour, $200 an hour. So it never makes sense for you to be working on a $10 an hour task because you're losing money every time you do that. Because you just lost an hour where you could be working on bringing in new clients and serving those clients and having calls with those clients. But no, you've just devoted hours to $10 an hour tasks. So that is a point of wisdom. We are to steward well our time. It is the greatest, one of the greatest resources God has given us. Certainly, it's more valuable than money. That's a conversation for another day. Okay, but a virtual assistant doesn't just save you time. A good VA protects something in you, protects your energy, protects your focus, protects your consistency and your momentum because you've offloaded some things that are helping you so that you can be more energetic, more focused. All right. Now, so just even 5 to 10 hours a week, they can support you staying visible online consistently, gathering content, keeping content organized and ready, following up faster. Now, I want to put a pin here real quick. I do not believe that anyone but you should be in the wait a second. Let me hear me all the way through. In the DMs talking to people that come into your space, with the exception of that initial connection, that initial, hey, thank you, connecting. And you can even have your VA say, hey, I'm Gail's VA, just checking in to make sure. She wanted you to know that she saw your post and she's wondering if you'd like to join the Facebook group, grab this lead magnet, book a call with her. That's doable. All right. People in business have admins that help them do all kinds of things. But once that person says yes, then that conversation needs to be you that's responding. That is my opinion. Okay. You talk to the Holy Spirit. But that's my opinion. So she allows you to have mental breathing room. She allows you to stop constantly starting over. And if you really get a VA who is really knowledgeable, and you might have to pay a little bit more than $10 an hour, but she could even help you with, okay, what are our goals for the next few months? What are the events that you're going to be launching in the next few months? And she can say, hey, just want to bring back to your attention that we're supposed to be working on that. Thank you. So it's another set of eyes. It takes pressure off of you. All right. So what can a beginner VA really do? Many women think they need to hire a full-time employee. You do not. You can just have a few hours. They can help you schedule those social media posts, upload emails, get a newsletter together, organize your Google Drive so you stop wasting so much time in there trying to figure out what is where. create Canva templates or talk to your chat GPT and organize things, create processes for you instead of just having prompt conversations. Repurposing content. This is huge. They can take video that you've done and cut it up. They can make shorts. They can create social media posts from videos that you've created, from testimonials. They can gather testimonials. Hey, I'm Gail's VA. I know you work with her doing this. She was wondering if you would be comfortable giving a statement or doing a short video, right? Um, so organizing client onboarding materials, making sure that those onboarding clients start really well, updating pages or links, saying, look, I need to update, such and such in my, based on our calendar that we just created, can you go update the events on my website page? Um, Taking these $10 an hour tasks that don't require you off your plate. So, where do people find a VA? Well, there's lots of options. I'm going to run through a few of them, okay? So, don't overcomplicate this. Facebook groups. There are many different Facebook groups, but before you hear anything else, any VA I've ever hired 100% came from referral. So, I've never hired one that wasn't referred to me by someone that I trust, that they explained to me how that VA had worked for them or that agency had worked for them. And then I went through an interview process to make sure it's a right fit. And I'm going to give you some best tips on how to start that relationship and make sure it's a right fit. And some of the things you need to do. So Facebook groups, Christian entrepreneur communities, that could be a Facebook group as well. It could be maybe you've got local networking that you do that you could ask. Local college students, if you want someone to do social media and you don't want to hire overseas, local college students in your area, you can call the marketing department or the IT department and ask for referrals for a student who wants, some business hours with an entrepreneur. There is an app called Upwork, UP, like the word up, work, Upwork, all one word. Another one, Fiverr, which is the number five spelled out with two R's at the end. And I love that one because there's so many reviews. They tell you exactly, they give you a range of cost per project. And they also there's loads of reviews. And if they don't have loads of reviews, I probably wouldn't go with that one. You're going to find somebody else. So that's a great place to find. There are agencies, but again, doing a post, I am hiring. I am looking for and you list the tasks that you're looking for. Do you have, or anybody have a referral for me? So you definitely want someone. Then once you get the name, one of the really important things is their response time. How responsive they are. That is really, really important because there's nothing worse than having a VA who is not responsive. And then how organized they are. So, how positive, how willing to learn they are. Perfection matters far less than integrity and consistency. Okay. But one of the things that a lot of people get overwhelmed with, which I don't have time, Gail, to train someone. All right. So you're going to start with smaller projects. This is one of the biggest reasons why probably people don't hire is because they feel like they're going to have to train and they feel like it's going to be a greater burden when reducing their burdens is the actual thing they're trying to do. So, but you've got to shift your mindset that the investment of time training that VA, the amount of pressure it's going to take off of you is worth it, well worth it. So, you cannot expect your VA to magically know everything. So the most important thing you can do when you're considering hiring someone is not hire them, but say, tell you what, let's do a week. I will pay you, but I'm only going to pay you for a couple small projects and let's just see how it goes. So for example, let's say you wanted her to take over your social media. You would say, okay, I have a Google Drive folder. And what I want you to do is I want you to go through my social media and I want you to copy and paste the last 30 posts that I did and put them in the Google Drive folder. Okay. And then when you're done with that task, message me. And then she messaged you, I'm done. I've done that task. And you're going to tell me how long did that take you? So you're getting an understanding of, and so is she, that you're going to be monitoring the time and that you're building trust. And copy and pasting posts, 30 of them, how long should that take? And you could even tell her, I'm anticipating this is going to take you not 30 minutes, because that would be 3 minutes for every copy paste, and you're probably not going to need that. So for 30 minutes, I'm willing to pay you X amount in this trial. So let me know. And then we're going to move on to step two. So let me know when you're done. So she gets back to you. And again, you're checking response time. You're going to see, did she complete the task? Did she understand? Does everything look right? Then, okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to repurpose every one of these. I want you to turn one into a poll, turn one into a question, go find some statistics that back up something that I've communicated. Just repurpose this content and make 10 posts from the words that I used, but with a little bit of a different spin. And, let me know what those would look like when you're done with that. Now, that probably will take maybe 5 minutes per, and you've asked her to, so that's about an hour. So give her the hour and say, okay, so let me know when you're done. And then you see how it goes. All right. So that's the type of the entry. And then after those two projects, then you can say, okay, now we're going to work on a 30-day basis. And I'm committed to this many hours for 4 weeks. And at the end of that, we'll do a little review of how things are going and make sure it's a right fit for both of us. And then if it is, maybe we'll go to 90 days and then we'll check after 90 days. Okay. But I also highly recommend establishing from the very beginning when you hire that we're going to be checking in once a week to see how things are going. Okay. Now, creating those simple systems. So again, she can help you, but having those organized places, it needs to be very organized. If you're requiring her to access things of yours, you need to give the links. You need to have a page of, here's my website link, here's my Facebook group link, here's my, I'm going to make you an admin in my Facebook group, here's my personal profile. Whatever you're going to want her to do, you need all of that in one place so she can go grab it. If you're going to be having her do content, you have a hex code for the color that's your primary brand color, you need to be giving her those hex codes, things like that. Keep all of your things together. If you're wanting her to repurpose your headshots, you're going to need to have all of those in a folder somewhere so that she can access those. Or maybe you already have a number of headshots with graphic titles on it, questions, and you can put those in there that she's going to be able to repurpose. So example two, if she's going to work for you 2 hours a day for 5 days a week, then you can tell her Monday we're going to do this, Tuesday we're going to do this, Wednesday we're going to do this. Have her feel like she is organized and that she can win at the tasks that you're giving her. Make sure you tell her you want her to reach out if she has any questions. Tell her the worst thing that she could do is try to push through something when she's not sure. That you will not be disappointed in her in any way if she comes and asks you a question to get clarification on something, that you expect those questions, all right? That you'll be more disappointed if she doesn't ask the questions, doesn't get the clarity, and then is working on a project when she didn't have the clarity she needed. So another question I get often about hiring a VA is, how do I protect my passwords? Well, that's a personal decision, and that will come in time. You may grow to trust that VA and give her your passwords, or she can use your Meta Business Suite to schedule posts. But there are different, you might have heard of LastPass or 1Password or Google Drive permissions, Canva team access. All of those things can allow her to access your content without you giving away any passwords. Here's another big obstacle, but I want my content to sound like me. Well, girl, it's going to, all right, or it's not going to get posted. Okay, so you are still in full control. You're not allowing her to post something that hasn't been approved. So, for example, I've worked with a VA who would give me the post for the month, like a week before the month ended. So if she's giving me July posts, I would get those by like the 23rd of June so that I had a full week to review all of those posts and give her a thumbs up. At the very, because then she'll go schedule all of them, right? So that task is done, and now we can move on to the next task. Um, your the more you work with your VA and the more she works with you, the more any repurposing of content that she does, and she sees, okay, I wouldn't use that phrase, or I don't like that. There was a VA I worked with, and she would sometimes use a certain phrase, and I'd be like, that just doesn't, that's fine, it's fine, but it doesn't sound like me, so I don't want to use that phrase anymore. And then so she took it out, right? So some of you have to expect some of that to take a little time. All right. You can't get disappointed right off the bat. Right. So here's the deal. A kingdom CEO, this is the truth of the matter. She understands that for that next level of growth, she cannot be everything inside of the business. She's got to operate as a CEO, which means she's looking over at the business. She's looking at her greatest asset, herself. How is she doing? What does she need? What energy? What incentives? How can I support her? Right. And then she's looking at, how are our operations? What's going on? Where are we leaking? Where is our infrastructure weak? What do we need to be working on? And what can I do to bring that in? Right. And when that CEO is looking at that, their greatest asset, and it's like, okay, I could give her an incentive. But gosh, what if I hired a VA for her and I took da 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 off her plate? That's how a kingdom CEO thinks. All right. Protect that greatest asset, protect her energy, protect her passion, protect um, her time so that she is spending it doing what's most important, which is serving those clients, right? Because no one else can do that. So do not build a business that's built for survival. Because if that's how you feel most days, please don't expect growth. Because why would God give you more when you're struggling with what's already happening? Okay. So delegation is not weakness, it's wisdom, it's stewardship. We've already talked about stewarding your time, your energy, your calling, your focus. And we have a responsibility to steward well. And I really believe that trying to operate your business without support, you ready for it? It's pride. It's pride. And sometimes it's a sense of false humility that says, I don't deserve to hire anyone else because I'm not making enough money yet. Well, you know what? That's false humility. That's thinking that your calling that God gave you isn't important enough, that doesn't deserve to hire someone so that you can actually invest more time, more creativity, more energy serving the women that He's called you to serve, while someone else is coming in and helping with some support. Um, Reflection questions. All right. What task are you currently doing that someone else could do? All right. That's a good one for you. And I'm going to give you three more. Number two, where am I becoming the bottleneck in my own business? And please listen, I have to confront these questions at every next level of business. So that's the beautiful thing about growing and transforming in our business, because every next level of growth requires new insights, new courage, new infrastructure. So, and identifying, where have I become the bottleneck at this level? Okay. So, what would 5 extra hours a week allow you to focus on? If you got to take away, some of those things that you said in question number one that someone else could do, what would you be able to do with that time in your business? How would that investment of time and creativity and energy grow your business because you didn't have to do those $10 an hour tasks? And what is one simple task that you could delegate this month? Okay. All right, guys. Well, it's really been exciting to give you this information. I pray that you will start to think about your business like a kingdom CEO and operate like a CEO, because when you do that, you are going to love your life and business even more, and your clients are going to love your business even more, because you know why? You're going to be able to serve them at a much higher level.